I arrived there on the 6th of December. It was on a Thursday, I think. And then we didn't start right away on Thursday, but Friday morning we started there with pure, unadulterated chaos. Because we walked in and they were just processing the people that had come in the night before. This is the area, this side right here is called Nazareth House. It's a half of a nursing home that is no longer up to code. And the owner, it's a private nursing home, the owner allowed Ruben Garcia to use it without cost. They would provide the heat and lights. And the other side of it is the other half of the nursing home, which they are functioning as a nursing home. And this area right here, that's a chapel that is not in use. It's nice inside, but there is no mass being said there. So we were so involved in is right there in Loretto Convent, where we had to do the cooking. The kitchen is something to behold, let me tell you. Anyway, now one evening, I think it was the evening we were upstairs on the 3rd floor where we lived, and this is the bus that is coming to leave off the refugees. Now these buses come usually between 3 and 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and they leave them, and they usually tell Ruben that they're coming, and so that we have some kind of preparation as to how many, and they come in that unmarked bus. And now when they come in, there's this very small room, 10 by 10 maybe, where the volunteers begin to do the process of these people. But first of all, I want to say that Ruben says between 2,200 to 2,300 refugees come within 1 week. Now there are 15 sites. We are one of 15. And we're the largest with 110 beds. So we average approximately 90 to 100 a day. And so they come in, the night before they do what they call intake, where they take the information from each person, their name, the person that is going to pay for their bus ticket or plane ticket, so that they can call them, and then these are the little slips that has the information on it, and then the people in the office make the phone calls to the airport to set up the tickets. In the meantime, there's a special phone that they would use to call Guatemala or to call the people in the States that they're here and that a ticket is being stated, and they will pay for the ticket. They just have to give them the reference number so that when they go to the airport or the bus station, they can be sure and pick up their ticket. It just so happened when I was leaving, when Clarice and I were leaving the last day, there were some of them sitting up there waiting to get on the bus, getting on the plane, and there were all kinds of guards around. So we didn't dare go near them. But they were going to get on a flight there somewhere. And so all these were done to get everybody ready to go. And this side here tells us how many are in the building at a particular time of the day. So that gives us an idea who's going to be there for meals. That was a hopscotch deal, I tell you. You could give you the number, but there's always more than what they tell us because it's kind of hard to keep track. These here are the ones that are left, and those are the ones that are still there between noon meal or evening meal or the breakfast meal. And this is our schedule board, but we didn't pay much attention to it because it didn't work anyway. So, and then here, these are all the different directions or instructions as to how to deal with each thing. For example, when they come in after the intake, they get some clothes, they get to get a shower, they get a bed with mattress and sheets and blankets, and to have a good night's sleep. Every night someone is there during the night in what we call our little medical room, where someone sleeps there in case something comes up during the night. But they're so tired, they sleep the whole night through. We're one of the 3 that are 24/7. We're at the one I was at, Nazareth House, is open 24/7. So they could come at any time. A lot of times they didn't come until 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And so they had to do intake right away because they only stay at least maybe just 2 nights and they're off to their next destination. And we always pack a lunch for them to take by bus, a little bigger one, because they can take water. On the plane, they can't take any liquids, so we could just give them a sandwich and some cookies and things. So, so that they'll have something to eat on the way. And this is the cafeteria. They're just coming in. This is just, I took it rather soon so they could see we had it the cafeteria style. And what's her name? I can't think of her. Anyway, the director asked myself and Clarice and Myra if we would prepare the Monday evening meal because there was no one down for it. Well, see, we arrived on Thursday. No one showed up Friday or Saturday or Sunday to do the meals. Guess who did the meals? We had to scramble around for whatever happened to be there to put together. I think the first time was the picture. I think with the 3 of us, we fixed a hot dish of whatever I could find. And Myra McCarthy said, well, knowing my past, Myra McCarthy says, well, if Myra will do it, I'll be a helper. So both Clarice and Myra helped me out to get this together. And we average about 100 people a meal. So to scramble around to do that kept us pretty busy. And I think we worked all day for a couple days in a row. We were pretty tuckered out. One of the favorite things I did was, I told this story, we had hundreds of these small packets of oatmeal, instant oatmeal. And I thought, gosh, what are we going to do with all these things? So I put them all in one kettle and boiled the water and added a little bit of a larger package of oatmeal. And we cooked it for a morning breakfast and served it with some individual milk cartons of strawberry milk. Yeah, oh, that's right. But honest to gosh, those kids just devoured that stuff. They were so delighted with that oatmeal. You'd think I gave them $100 because they were hungry and they could come back for seconds because I had quite a bunch. And they ate every crumb of that oatmeal. And same way with the other meals that we managed to get together. Spaghetti one night and another, I don't know, beans and rice and tortillas one couple times. But they were really hungry. And this fellow here is Ruben Garcia. He's the director of the whole program of all 15 sites in the area of El Paso and Las Cruces, I think.
I met him.
Did you meet him?
He was a great friend of Brother Matthias in Albuquerque.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He gave us an hour-and-a-half talk. This was a week, it was supposed to be orientation. Well, we never got it. Orientation when we came, it was sink or swim. But he came and he gave us an hour-and-a-half talk about the system. And it looks like pure chaos when these people come because they're in the hallway and they need to call their family and they got some people are sick and they need something and they need this or they need that. And you think there was nothing getting done, but it's amazing how they got all that done. Every day they had to do at least 100 people to leave so that another 100 could come. You know, and ISIS is supposed to notify Reuben when they're coming so that they have some idea. Well, you know, in the news, 200 of them were dropped off at the bus depot on Christmas Eve and nowhere to go. They didn't tell anybody that they were going to do it. They just dropped them off. And so they managed to divide them up between the other houses in town. We have 110 beds, but that night we had some people sleeping on the floor because there just wasn't enough room. And I wasn't there, I had already been home. They apologized and they said, we're so glad to be inside. You know, they're so grateful for every little thing. And then, this is the clothes room. Now, this may look like it's chaotic, but you should have seen it before I cleaned it up. I spent a whole entire day, myself and a couple other volunteers, and also even some of the refugees came in and helped fold clothes and put them according to size and boy and girl and whatever. And but that night when another busload came, we knew what was going to happen. The next day it was all one big disaster again. Because when they go in there, they want to find clothes their size and this, that. So anyway, it was kind of at least they had something to start with. And that's yours truly trying to put things in order. But oh, for gosh sakes, Julianne Brokamp from Dubuque happened to come in that day, one of those days, to surprise Myra McCarthy and myself. And she had helped also in sorting clothes for me. She worked a few hours. She was there for something else, but she spent some time with us. So we got to see Julianne. Okay. And then there's the three of us. Myra McCarthy is the red, Clarice in the green, and then myself. This is the hallway of where we stayed. There's a tree behind us up on third floor on Loretto Convent. And then this is our whole group. This is Clarice, and Mara's over there. And we had IHMs, we had the Mercies, we had the Dominicans. We had the Dominicans from Adrian Dominicans from Michigan, I think. And the Mercies, the Holy Spirit Sisters, Sisters of St. Joseph, IHMs. And this is what we called the LCWR in action. Because we all answered the call from LCWR to go down and help out. And then Ann Rita gave me a letter from Clarita Trujillo.
Yeah, she's a Victory Knowles sister.
Yeah, she worked the afternoon shift. Now, some of these people worked an afternoon shift, but at a different site as well. They had morning shift, and they had 2 hotels, and I think the seminary, the diocesan seminary, was another site. And so we were lucky. We could stay right there. We didn't have to find a bus or walk or whatever to the other sites. So we got together, and then there was a gentleman there. He was head of Habitat for Humanity that had his office there on 3rd floor. And he started giving us a couple bottles of wine for us to enjoy each other in the evening. So we had some good chats and debriefing and different experiences of the children. One I do want to share with you that Reuben told us when he gave us that talk. He told us the story of a woman with a teenager boy and a little girl. And they came into the detention center, and they immediately grabbed the boy and put him up against the wall because he was a teenager. Immediately separated him from his mother. And then the little girl just ran up and grabbed she grabbed the leg of her mom, and the Border Patrol guy grabbed her, the little girl, and threw her across the room.
Oh.
And I don't know what happened to them after that, but that's part of the lack of concern and compassion for these children. And staying in these detention centers, they sleep on a cement floor. They'll get one of these aluminum kind of like blankets, and that's all they have. One woman I was talking with said, I haven't eaten for 3 days. So they got very little food if they got any. And so they're always so hungry when they would come to our place and the other places as well. The other places didn't have a kitchen. We were pretty lucky. We had a kitchen that was as much as the kitchen as it was. The others didn't have, so they totally depended on outside people to bring in food. Sometimes they had to rush and make sandwiches. Peanut butter jelly sandwiches we made every day for them to take with them, because that's the only thing that we could take that they could preserve on their travels. And So they come hungry, they come tired, they come with very little, and just asking for asylum. And the fact that they come 100 at a time, you know that there's a lot of them coming. And then I think now during Christmas holidays they're up to 2,500 to 3,000 a week between the 15 sites. And then there's other areas in El Paso that are doing it besides Ruben's program. So El Paso is a city that is extremely generous. Extremely generous. One of the things that we were short of a lot were plates and cups and things to eat with. And also some like coffee. I made coffee. They only had one percolator, and for 30-cup percolator for 100 people doesn't quite do it. So I ended up making cowboy coffee. And they said, cowboy coffee? What's cowboy coffee? They never heard of boiling water and throwing the coffee grounds in the water to settle, make coffee. So I had plenty of coffee when I was able to get that made for breakfast, Is there any? I think that's basically what we do. About everything is volunteer. There's not one person there that gets a salary, including Ruben Garcia. And everything is done on strictly donations, whether it be food or utensils or toilet paper or whatever. It's all donated. And so to have enough of those things on hand sometimes can be kind of tricky. If we run low, it's kind of hard to get someone to get it to us right away. So we spent some of our money there while we were there because we didn't have enough time to have a volunteer to bring some. So we went into there was a dollar store and another store that we could get some essentials that we needed that we'd run out of, especially paper, cups to drink coffee and water out of, or tea or whatever that we happen to have on hand. Next time I send money down, I want to say for this specific thing is to each place have enough money for supplies. Even laundry money, they have to wash all those bed sheets and things, and that's expensive. They have to take them to a laundry, and whoever does the volunteer has been paying for it. Well, that's expensive. So that's another thing that they need help with outside of paying for rent and that kind of thing. So anyway, that's pretty much. Is that the last picture?
I think so. Yep.
Yeah. Of a bunch of us. We really bonded. We really had such a good time together, and we look forward to our evenings visiting and sharing stories that we each had. Yeah, see what happens is that when they come across the border, they're immediately taken into the Border Patrol and they're asking for asylum. And then they have a hearing, or they get basically to say that yes or no, and they slap on an ankle bracelet to keep the GPS going so they know where they're at all the time. And then they also get a court date. And so wherever they happen to go, whether it be in the United States, they have a court date that they have to present themselves at. And also, Ruben said, probably about 95% of these people that we process through to go to a family will be deported. They will not get asylum. The judges in Texas are the worst judges in the state to give asylum. Now, that's why you go other places, because Nebraska is pretty tough too. But other states are easier and will provide some kind of asylum for them. But Texas is the immigration judges are really tough. And so they want to get out of Texas. Because they know that they find out that it's better to go elsewhere if they have family. Goal, for example, if they're going to go to Nebraska, which some have, their court date will be right there at the closest immigration office. For example, if they would come to South Dakota, they would have to go to Bloomington, Minnesota to court. They wouldn't have to go back to Texas. Those who stay in Texas will have to go to court in Texas. So they put the court wherever it is that they're going. And then they have these ankle bracelets, or whatever you want to call them, tracking bracelets, I guess. I've had to cut their jeans or slacks, so that they could get them off to get a clean pair of clothes, because they wouldn't go over the bracelet, and it's sad to see that, walking around with that crazy thing on their ankle. Now the kids don't have them, but the adults do. And most of these adults are young. I would say the majority of them are in their 20s, maybe a little older, but not much. And usually the man has, the father or the mother has one child, maybe two, but most of them just have the one. So when you're making a bus thing, you just make a bus ticket for two. And then when I look at that list, that you fix lunch for two. Now I've done a little bit of everything there. I did intake. I made phone calls to find drivers. Drivers are volunteer. Make phone calls to the airports to find a ticket, to get a ticket. The only thing I did not do was sleep overnight in the medical room. And thank goodness, because I wasn't feeling good that night. And so Myra took my place that night. And so that was the only thing I didn't do. The most I did do was cooking those meals. That kept me hopping. So, but anyway, we had fun doing it, and the sisters that I worked with are just wonderful women. Gosh darn, they're great. And that's LCWR.